total of 210 days, except with some actual smaller updates in between, so the wait wasn't nearly as bad. And leading into the solar eclipse event, which was kind of the culmination of everything about the style, an extremely long wait for an insane payout. The solar eclipse event would earn the game another Bloxy nomination and remains the biggest and most successful update in the game's history, but that's a story for another day. Thanks to everyone here for gameplay and other footage. In particular, thanks to Maelstrom for the gameplay of testing sessions, and to Stoom for archiving the Paradox in game stream. Please consider dropping a like or subscribing, as I put a ton of time into this video. As of today, it's been 2 years since the Frost Invasion event, and although many more updates have come out since, I don't know if any felt more special than the Frost Invasion. Thank you for watching.
I'm just glad our community has enjoyed the 5-month-long Halloween update.
Yeah. It's a nightmare before Christmas. So
We Scots, we're a hardy.
And I found coins are pretty important in Roblox TDS. They're how you get new towers, new skins, new emotes. So today I want to test out a ton of coin grinding strategies to find out the most efficient way to make a ton of money quickly. What about naturally high payouts? For that, you need to play the special modes. And I found a strategy by Cliche and Alligator to solo Pizza Party, a very scary game mode, but nowhere near as terrifying as my internet speed. With me loading in 3 waves late. This strategy essentially entailed using Mortar to limp through the first 10 waves before getting a golden minigunner. This strategy was pretty worrying, as I almost lost in waves 10, 11, 12, 15, 22, 23, 26 was really close, etc. Compared to other strategies, this one was definitely more stressful, until wave 27, where you finally get to stop farming and go full on monkey mode. You max some orders, and then basically just spam gold minis for the rest of the game. And by chaining Commander's Call of Arms ability in between placements, I started doing pretty good, and reached wave 40, where Walks the Fox was a pushover. In total, I earned 1,050 coins in roughly 30 minutes, for a rate of approximately 35 coins a minute. Also, I realized I had a single unupgraded mini the whole time. A decent payout, but honestly this was too stressful for me. The dark map, the FNAF zombies, chaining Call of Arms, maybe it's a combination of everything. Maybe I need to go back to 2020. It felt like this was the peak year for coin grinding, and I hoped to find a more efficient strategy. I mean, you had this one from Extremes, which was undeniably simpler, and after grabbing the loadout, I hopped onto Tropical Isles, and then I had to rejoin because while getting this clip I missed placing the first farms, but after that my game plan was straightforward. 6 level 0 farms. You might say that's inefficient, but you're wrong. I saved for my early game tower in Archer, and to be fair, if there was ever a time for this strategy to make a resurgence, it's after the recent tower buff, and I placed the event tower at the back of the path, where its piercing was strong enough to carry me. I wondered if through some bizarre example of history repeating itself, this strategy might actually work, although the farming scheme didn't seem promising, as it took me until wave 14 to get my first ranger. This strategy is so old that this was literally an entirely different tower. However, the 2 runs start to dovetail around the giant boss. He killed it easily, I didn't kill it, at least not until the start of the next wave, putting me on the back foot, and pushing my towers to the limits. And then the same thing happened next wave. This time, those limits were exceeded. There were too many fallens, plus a shadow boss which I had literally nothing for, so I lost, earning 263 coins in 17 minutes, for a rate of 15 coins a minute. Inflation is crazy. Clearly, this was not good enough, and I needed a time machine. Please subscribe. I needed a more modern, tighter strategy, and I found this one by Tom, a game balancer. It was a few patches old and meant for lower level players, but there is no way it could do worse than the previous. Being a molten speedrun, this would allow me to get even more coins than before, so I gave it a try. I started off by placing Warden, the main powerhouse of the strategy, surveying the beautiful Crystal Caverns map. However, I made a bit of a worrying discovery, namely this patch of land where a horde of Wardens was supposed to go. At some point had gained a new restriction, so I couldn't place anything at all. This kind of completely ruined everything, but I continued on. My new plan was to disregard the actual plan. I started off following the steps closely, and I did retain the overall game plan, but by the end of the round I was just placing stuff, which actually ended up working out. I quickly took down the Molten Boss, earning 500 coins in 13 minutes, for a rate of 37 coins per minute. Yet even after this, my coin count was disparagingly low, and I knew there had to be a better method. Normal mode. Typically, grinding strategies don't utilize this mode, which is exactly why I wanted to try it. Sure, you get less coins, but you can also win much faster. As a former world record holder, current 23rd place holder, I already knew a speedrun strategy, adapted from Galaxy, except it has been almost a year since that video, so I didn't really remember anything. I remember this part of the strategy, where you purposefully leak a boss, but I didn't remember the part where you leak another and then survive with 4 health. I was using a speedrun strategy, which didn't use safe replacements and rather opted for the most optimal inputs. So that meant I didn't place accelerators and generally had a pretty miserable time. I leaked a speedy boss and had to place an accel to catch it, and another one. I spammed gladiator abilities and call of arms until finally reaching wave 30, with the gravedigger preemptively spawning, and my towers melted him easily. Yet I earned only 200 coins, and my completion time was longer than Molten. That awarded the ratio of only 15 coins a minute, making it clear that my earlier attempts have been far better. But there is one more strategy, a forbidden technique, which can actually allow up to rates of 10,000 coins a minute, if you just buy them. Obviously that's not realistic, but compared to the other methods, it is like 250 times more effective. Thanks for watching, subscribe. Cool videos soon, question mark? This is Tower Defense Simulator's Minigunner Tower, Tower Battles Commando, Tower Blitz's Vulcan, and Tower Hero's Cat Selling Lemonade Tower, all different takes on essentially the same core concept. It's interesting to see the different routes developers take in the tower defense genre, be it the stats, the skins, the models themselves. Putting aside the drama and just taking these towers at face value, some common TDS units get pretty big upgrades in other games and vice versa. So I want to look at the most iconic units in all of Roblox tower defense. Take the Accelerator. Now in TDS this is already a highly prestigious tower. The costly gem price tag, the high damage, the futuristic laser gun wielding design. This new lightning, by the way, looks kinda funky, I don't know. It's all there, yet it shares some similarities with the Tower Battles unit Phaser, a similar tower in aesthetic if not exact function, using a laser gun to lock onto zombies and gaining more damage as it charges. What's really interesting is the tower's visuals, starting off with a simple visor and RGB laser gun, before later spreading mechanical Medusa-like tendrils from its helmet, which shoot even more lasers. A very futuristic, cyborg-like aesthetic, which itself looks mildly akin to Electricizer. But this is where the similarities between concepts start to deviate pretty heavily, as this Tower Blitz unit shoots individual projectiles rather than lasers, or kind of lasers, more like electricity, you know, and gains a massive Death Cannon upgrade, which costs even more than the other two towers. As someone who's played this game a decent amount, yeah, it's pretty overpowered. But compared to some of the other iconic towers, it's not that crazy. Like, what about flying units? You might imagine TDS's Pursuit, or maybe Tower Battle's Aviator, and I raise you, Balloon Pal. Noticeably different from the others, featuring a stylized little hero, who literally gains an entire floating headquarters. Like, why isn't this in TDS? Come on. We have heavy artillery, mythical beings, animated plushies, but nothing really like the Tower Heroes troops. Along with the Balloon Pal, there's this little ghost jamming out, a cat selling lemonade, which can use the skin to turn into a massive molten peak dripping lava. I guess that's the lemonade they're buying now. There's even a little bomb guy, which evolves into this somewhat terrifying massive final stage. So overall, a pretty mature range of themes. Compared to the other TD games, I'd say Heroes has the most creative tower design, although the aesthetic it embraces is not quite as realistic as the others, and I don't know if any of these are quite as iconic as other standouts. Take the Zed from Tower Battles, one of the game's most popular towers, which even had a Roblox toy made. A futuristic rolling treaded tank which costs a ton of money, but is also extremely powerful. As someone who has played Tower Battles for only a couple hours total, this tower is still clearly pretty broken, on par with TDS's take, being the Mecha base, a tower which was actually broken, and you can currently only obtain it if you are an admin. So yeah, it started off being pretty clearly inspired by the Zed, but over time was reworked more unique form, gaining legs, becoming a mecha robot walker